Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Office Hours with myself, Fr Stu Wilson-Smith, here at the St. Thomas More Newman Center, the Catholic Campus Ministry for the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. I wasn't here last week. I'm sorry about that. I know a lot of you were deeply, profoundly disappointed and maybe even gave up hope in this whole enterprise, the whole Friday Office Hours live streaming scheme. And I would get that. I would understand that. And so I'm sorry. What happened was, you may have known, the last couple times I've been a little unwell, and I thought I was getting better, and it turns out no, not so much. Ended up with strep throat and pneumonia and bronchitis and all this other stuff, and just bad news. I was really disappointed in the whole affair. I was supposed to go to Washington with the other Paulus for this pre-assembly meeting. It was really important, and I got too sick. Couldn't do it, couldn't go anywhere. What I did do is I stayed home and laid around and read a little bit, and I watched a lot of Matlock. Many of you may already know I'm a big Matlock fan. I don't know how much I've referenced it in this context. Some people think that's a joke of some kind, that I'm like a fake Matlock fan. It's like some kind of kooky thing that I do. No, okay, I've been watching the show since I was about 11. Always loved it. Ben Matlock is my favorite in TV history. Just to prove, though, that this is for real, what I've got here, I keep this on my shelf in case, I'm having a bad day or something, and I just got to throw in something. Here's, okay, take it easy here. Here's season 1, right? Season 2, season 3, season 4, 5, 6, so on, all the way to season 9. I got them all. It's the only thing that I own all of. There's nothing else that I own all of. There's other shows that I've liked over the years. I don't know why nothing's coming to mind immediately. Rocky and Bullwinkle. I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle. Anyway, it was mainly Matlock. And what I did is, because I was ill, I said, all right, I'm just going to go through and pick some of my favorite episodes. I didn't do a front to back. I usually do that once a year. And if I had to pick a favorite that I watched over the week, I love The Chef. This is in season 1. And just to give you the description, Charlene gets her father to represent a well-known cooking show hostess, a woman who supposedly poisoned her ex-husband while on the air. The audacity of that, if you could fathom, while on the air, that's why nobody was suspecting her, but the eggs, I think. So, sorry, I shouldn't give spoilers in case you want to look at it later. So that's what I did. One thing I did get. This is a nice thing about being sick. Look at this lovely card. This is from our middle school group here at the Newman Center. How fantastic is this? Isn't this beautiful? Get well soon. It is so nice. And right in there, we hope you feel better soon. So nice. And then the names of everybody. That's just beautiful. So that's right there on the desk. Anyway, I think I'm getting better now, but I keep saying that, and everybody laughs at me. I say, a little bit by bit, and getting better, whatever. Today we're just kind of hanging out here, so if you have any questions or anything you want to say, you can just put it in that comment box here where it says write a comment. You can just add it in there if you have any questions about anything. Could be about anything. We're just here. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. Just thought I'd say hello. One thing I would remark on that's been interesting, so even though I've been ill during the week, I've seemed to be fine in the weekends, or well enough to kind of get through and do the homilies I've had to do. And I don't know if it's even just the last few weeks, and maybe even months, that I keep preaching on things that involve food products of some sort, whether I've talked about Panera or Coca-Cola. I talked about the world of Coca-Cola in Atlanta. And so whenever I do that, when I go back to my mailbox on Monday, inevitably there's some of that food product. And so I'm realizing I should be preaching a lot more about things that I like. If I started preaching about cheeseburgers or something, I might have that show up there. It's just fantastic. 2 weeks ago, I did something that had to do with Kit Kat. There's a reference to Kit Kat. I should clarify, it's not like the homily is about Kit Kat. It's just a vehicle for a message. And so I got 3 little bags of Kit Kat by mailbox, and then someone else gave me another bag of Kit Kat. How awesome are people? Especially our people are the best, first of all. I love these. And it's just the funniest thing. So that's just something I've noticed. What do you do with that information? I don't know. Just something that I thought was amusing. I'm still getting some notices. People are saying, hey, I can see your wall is still blank. And it kind of is. I have a St. Paul icon there. And my friend Sandy did drop me off some things. This is a wonderful little piece of art here. And I just like, I'm trying to find the right material to put it on the wall with, because I don't want to damage it in any way. But it's so cool because it's like two fish. I love fishing, and fish are a great symbol of Christianity. So that's going to go up on there somewhere. So don't worry about the wall. I know there's a lot of controversy around that issue. But speaking of wonderful gifts and things and wall art and so on and so forth, I got an ordination gift the other day that is just tremendous, and I love it. I'll show it to you here. Here you go. There's a lot of reflection. Hopefully you can see that. A tool in the hands of providence. This was stitched, and it's a gift from my friend Bridget. Thank you, Bridget, very much for this wonderful, wonderful thing. So this too is going to have, I mean, this will have a pride of place on the desk. I love it. Where this came from, a tool in the hands of providence, is reference to an Andre Bessette quote, who is this wonderful man, a saintly man indeed, who was a member of the Congregation of the Holy Cross in Montreal, and he's the founder of St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal, if you've ever visited that wonderful place. And he was a guy who, like, he couldn't read and couldn't write even when he was like 25, but he knew he was called to be a religious, and he entered the congregation, and basically he held the door for 40 years. Among a few other things, he's a messenger, and he took care of some housework, cleaning windows, that type of thing. But he was a miracle worker as well. People came to them with this, you know, and he visited the sick and that kind of thing, and people would say, oh, like, you know, Brother Andre, you're a miracle worker. And he would say, I'm nothing, only a tool in the hands of providence. And the rest of the quote is, a lowly instrument at the service of St. Joseph. And so he was he was truly very humble man in the sense of like good, true humility. Like he just knew his place in the scheme of things. Even though he could do these wonderful things for people, he knew that it was all coming from God. And he said, people are silly to think I can perform miracles. It is God and St. Joseph who can heal you, not I, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, he was just a great, humble man, and I'm a great fan and devotee of Andre Bessette. So, thank you, Bridget, for this wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, I did have a couple questions. I have a little bit of time, and again, you can send me an email or anything if there's things that like you think would be worthwhile to bring up in this short time that I spend with you, and I do enjoy doing it. But you know, I just want to put it to good use, obviously. And we do have some ideas in the pipeline that I think could be interesting. Something somebody sent me was about like spiritual tips as we enter winter. And when you're entering winter, it seems like most people, or I shouldn't say most, I guess a lot of people feel because it's like getting darker earlier, and it's just kind of like not that great of a time. I really have to practice my empathy skills in this, because I really do feel for people in that, but I'm like a much more content as a person when it's cold and dark and gray and that kind of thing. So like I'm very happy in fall and winter, and not so happy in the summertime. I'm kind of miserable that way. I don't like the sun. I'm a bit of a vampire. So I just like, but I try to put my head, I think I can get in that headspace and try to understand it. And, one thing I'd say is, okay, yeah, that definitely can pose a challenge. One thing you may have to look at is, in terms of your own prayer life, are there things that you need to shake up a little bit? It doesn't mean you have to like start whole new prayers or something, but you know, if the time of day gets so mixed up that like maybe you have to shift some things around. Thanks a lot, Shemai. Oh, I hate this summer too. You're cracking me up. Yeah, well, I tell you what, I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one. From time to time, I meet somebody else who's like, oh, I'm not keen on the summer either, and that's always a treat. I'm glad this isn't just me. So you may have to shake up the times that you do things. If there's times that you do like an examination of conscience, you usually do it at night, but now it's feeling like, I don't know, because it's darker or because it's whatever, you may have to shake up the time. But my main piece of advice though has to do with, one, like Advent happens in winter, so there's a lot of spirituality around Advent, but also just, how does anybody get through the winter? A lot of it these days, sometimes you might binge something in particular. So if you're on Netflix or Amazon Prime and you find a show and that sort of gets you through. So like if there's like 3 seasons, then like wow, all of a sudden a month is dropped off the calendar and you just got through winter. Fantastic. If you could take a similar approach to the spiritual life, and it may not at first sound as exciting, but actually it is, this could be a very good time to experiment with some new things, read things you haven't thought to read before, or that you someone recommended years ago and you just never got the chance. This too is a good way to kind of go through winter spiritually. So you could kind of binge on spiritual reading, for example. So one thing you might pick up, if you haven't done a lot of like reading of what we call like spiritual classics, you might start with something like de Sales. St. Francis de Sales wrote this book, Intro to the Devout Life. You probably can't see it that well online. There's some pretty good translations out there. And this is like a good thing to read. I found, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking of is like the first time I read it, it was in the winter, and I enjoyed having a cup of tea or hot cider or something and just kind of flipping through this book. And before you know it, it's like, wow, a few weeks have gone by that I've been chewing on this thing, and it can just be really enriching. So I don't know if those were coherent thoughts or anything like that, but these are the hazards of Facebook Live. What are you going to do? His own advice for like spiritual dryness or times where prayer is hard is actually very good. He says, finally, let us never lose courage in the midst of spiritual dryness, but patiently wait for the return of consolation. Do not omit any exercises of devotion, but if possible, multiply our good works. So he's saying, you might try adding more. Our works performed with tenderness of heart are more agreeable to us who are mostly concerned with our own satisfaction. The more repugnance we feel in doing them, the more God esteems them. The less we consult our interest in the pursuit of virtues, the more brilliantly does the purity of divine love shine forth in them. So there's a lot to chew on in there. It's like there's a certain gift that comes with persistence through difficult times in prayer, including in the winter where prayer might seem hard. There's a kind of reward or consolation that comes with just being able to kind of stick with it, even if it's not like sensually, pleasing or making you happy. The devotion to it, just as with any relationship, if you got through relationships through hard times, there's a reward in that, because then you end up with a deeper and more intimate relationship because you've gone through some things. So there you go. I throw that out there. There's other questions, but you know what? This could go on all day. And I know I missed an episode. I could go on for 20, 30 minutes, but I don't think anybody wants part of that. So if you have any other questions, comments, suggestions, or anything like that, send them at me. Always happy to hear from you. I hope this has been a good time hanging out. I've got to work on a couple things. I've got to think of my next homily, how I'm going to integrate a steak or a cheeseburger so people leave me those things in my mailbox. But until then, I wish you a happy winter season. I hope you enjoy something in this cold weather. I'm still fishing, by the way, so if you're a fisherman, you might still give it a try. There's nothing to be had, unfortunately. Haven't got a darn thing for like a month, but whatever. So God bless you all, and we'll see you next time. All right? Peace.